And we are on the air. Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Hey, seeing you guys.
everybody doing?
Today is Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. Does anybody know how many more days until this election?
Less than 100.
Definitely less than 100.
Less than 100. We are almost there. I just want to give some time for some people to come in.
Okay.
Everybody's wearing wonderful colors. Got little splashes of pink in there.
Yeah,
We're all cohesive today.
I know.
we are.
And our
It's a nice
outfits
flow.
are doing that.
I like it. I like it. This is
Got like
awesome.
little bits of blue and pink.
Yes. So how's everybody's week so far?
Everyone's week going well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Busy.
Long. Super
Long.
busy, long, yeah, tiring, but getting through
I
it.
saw you into a speakeasy. I love speakeasies.
Yes, it was so much fun.
That was so awesome. My phone is
But yeah, I think it was good traveling and being back for work and
Was
juggling.
any drink
this
specialties?
project. Huh?
Was any drink specialties? Any live performances?
No, because of COVID. But they had a lot of great photo ops. And I
Okay.
think that's the key to being able to be social during this time is finding places where you can still social distance.
Yeah.
And that's practicing social distancing. And so it was a huge space, but they had a lot of different like chairs and places where you can sit where you didn't have to be next to anyone, which is what I like.
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, I haven't been out or done anything in forever. Just been working. But productions are shutting back down again. So
Oh,
Are
Mm,
a lot of them are, but there's still some productions that are going, but they have like very, very strict social distancing rules. And it is a lot of the big companies that are able to kind of do it now. But us smaller guys, we're having to get in where we fit in and do a lot of guerrilla style stuff. So, it happens. Good to take a rest. But
yeah,
so let's get into it. So welcome everyone to Yup Live on this wonderful Wednesday, August 5th. Hope everyone is doing well. I want to go around and do a round of introductions. My name is Sharique LeMay. I am a media specialist here in Los Angeles. We have Jasmine.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm an entrepreneur at the intersection of pop culture and politics.
Awesome.
Hi everyone, my name is Lawrence. I'm a corporate attorney in the Bay Area.
Miss Gigi.
And hey everyone, I'm Gigi or Jerica, however you know me, depending on where you met me. And I'm a therapist and co-owner of a security company in Dallas.
Amazing. So I have kind of a little surprise I didn't mention to you guys. I do want to kind of bust one of us out a little bit for something amazing. At the same time, I want to give a huge congratulations to Jasmine on her Western Conference Outstanding YP member recognition. Jasmine, that is so awesome. You have been part of the YPs for the past 2.5 years. Congratulations to you on getting that. How did you hear about it?
Thank you. Honestly, so I was on the awards committee, but I couldn't vote for Western region. So I only was able to see Eastern region, Central, and Southern.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I had a lot of competition. I at the end of the day, I didn't think I was going to get it because one, you have to like put in your hours and do all this stuff. And I was like, I know my president didn't do all that. But so I was so shocked when I heard about it on our call. And then they told me about the rollout of the announcements, and we were going to have this big our business meeting and our award ceremony and our speaker on last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was really exciting. I'm really proud of our chapter. I literally could not have done this without Danielle King, our president. I'm just looking for the next year ahead, and I'm on the National Programs Committee, so doing big things.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we gave you a shout out for that because
Thank you. Yes, that was a surprise. Don't surprise me like that.
So make sure you guys are following Jasmine and the YPs. And Jasmine, can you tell our audience who don't know a little bit about Urban League Young Professionals? Just a little snippet.
Yes. So Los Angeles, or Urban League Young Professionals is a national network of young professionals who volunteer for their auxiliary. Their auxiliary is the Urban League Los Angeles or the New York Urban League or whatever city you're in. We are the volunteer arm that serves the higher affiliate. So while they're championing and writing legislation for whatever bills or whatever advocacy initiatives that they're advocating for that term, we are the ones on the ground supporting, whether that's volunteering at caucuses or volunteering at voting registration or just giving a hand in the local community. We're their volunteer arm. Last year, I hosted an entertainment summit so that young professionals can get experience and get acquainted with the entertainment industry behind the scenes and at an executive level. So that was really exciting. So join your local chapter. If you go to NULYP on Instagram, then you can find out more about all the chapters around the country. I'm in DC right now. Shout out to the DMV. Their program or their young professionals arm is called the Thursday Network. So I think that's really cool also, is each chapter has their own kind of logo, kind of branding that they do. And then up in Jersey, they are called the Alliance. So
That's
you go
amazing.
to NULYP, you can find out where your local chapter is and what it's called and all that good stuff.
Yes, so let's make sure we are all supporting our National Urban League.
I just want to add on one little thing, Desmond.
Go
Like,
for it.
this is not a small award. I won this award, I want to say 6 years ago. So it's just a testament of how much work that you have to put in to get this, especially for Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a big chapter. So the fact that you got this award, I am so proud of you. Like, Los Angeles Urban League is happy to have you. I remember I met you actually at an event last year for the Urban League.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an amazing organization that really builds people together. When I saw it, I was like, I sent it to everyone. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And for those of you guys that want to follow Los Angeles Urban League Young Professionals, it's LAULYPS.
Yes.
And that's for our local Los Angeles chapter.
It's an S at the end.
Oh, so at the end, my bad.
We have new leadership. So every 2 years we transfer leadership. So right now, actually, McCullough is our new president, and she's starting really strong. July was supposed to be a month of rest and recalibrating and all that good stuff. This girl started strong and already started her program, and we already had our leadership meeting. So I'm really excited about the new year.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again to
Thank
Jasmine
you.
on such an esteemed accomplishment. I also want to highlight Mr. Lawrence, who is our newest co-host as a part of the
Thank you.
family. Much love as well to Christian, who introduced us to this amazing fella, and well wishes to Christian now in his endeavors within his politics. He's always a part of the family, and he'll be back. But Lawrence, if you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself, introduce yourself to our audience, that would be great.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me. Definitely. And shout out to Christian, the homie, and good luck to him and everything that he's doing. I'm a corporate attorney in the Bay Area from Oakland, California, born and raised here. I spent about 10 years down in LA. I went to school down there and started kind of getting interested in politics, but really focused on just like the corporate side of things. So I'm really happy to be here. Hopefully I can bring a lot of flavor, and my background helps me with these conversations. Just happy to be here.
Awesome. That is so amazing. So thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, everybody. And we're going to get into the news of the day. So you guys, there was just so much news happening last week on Wednesday. We didn't get a chance to talk about all of it. But one of the things that came up that was really, really interesting was Trump and HUD repeal of the Obama's 2015 Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Act. So what does that mean? Basically, your boy Trump is out here acting a fool. He's tweeting a fool. He's saying some crazy stuff in regards to Black people and Hispanic people, minorities, being able to move into areas with affordable housing. He tweeted, "I am happy to inform all of the people living their suburban lifestyle dream." Yes, he said that you will no longer be bothered or financially hurt by having low-income housing built in your neighborhood. On Thursday, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, repealed the Obama Act, claiming that the original rule effectively stripped local control over regulations and drowned localities with onerous and unnecessary paperwork. So it seems as though HUD and the Trump administration, once again, are just doing all that they can to repeal everything that Obama and the administration had set forth in order to create level playing fields in terms of housing and livelihood and the wellness of all people, not just suburbia. So it's really going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out and how this all plays into going into the election. Again, make sure you guys are aware of these things because this is something that directly affects our communities at large. I want to pass it over to Lawrence, who's going to be discussing some more news that just recently happened. Lawrence?
I just wanted to pause real quick and say that affordable housing thing is really, really problematic. And I can't wait till we get back to that. And I also want to say that the homie, Ben Carson has a lot to do with that too, because he's the director, and that's another stain on us.
Yeah,
but we'll get back to that later.
That for sure. Yeah. Definitely.
So I wanted to talk briefly about the bombing in Lebanon. I don't know if everyone's heard it, but you might have seen the horrible videos on Instagram. In Beirut, a couple of days ago, there was a bombing that has killed over 100 people, over 4,000 people are injured. A Richter scales report that the bombing was equivalent to a 3.5 earthquake. And right now, there's a whole bunch of different reports out there. I've seen reports stating that it's due to a nuclear bomb. Others say that it was a factory which made fireworks. Others are saying that it was part of a long-term unrest in the country stemming from its civil war. For a lot of people that don't know, Lebanon has recently been going through some of its worst times. They got out of the civil war in 1990, and since then, it's been getting worse and worse from the viewpoint of inflation, cost of living, and healthcare. So there's civil unrest that was already going on. And now that we have this huge bombing, people are really afraid, especially since it was on the port, and people will be able to get healthcare, medical care. There's also a component because Lebanon borders Israel, and there's a lot of racial tension there too. So that's something else we'll be coming back to.
Yeah, absolutely. And then make sure you guys are paying attention to some of the local efforts that are going into helping the people of Lebanon and the enormous atrocities that they're dealing with. Very heartbreaking, but we'll see how all of this unfolds, and we'll definitely be able to report that to you. Another thing that happened last week on Wednesday as well, that was very, very interesting to many of us, was the hearing of the Big Four. The Big Four being Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. So pretty much they were on the chopping block with Congress, basically wanting to investigate their practices in terms of not allowing small businesses and other competitions to flourish. As you know, Apple owns and dominates their market. Amazon has 70% of the online shopping market. Facebook, we know, has always been a threat and has been talked about on numerous occasions. And Google is the largest online search engine, capturing 90% of the searches worldwide. These are humongous numbers. They have been questioned on their questionable acquisitions, their predatory pricing, and their copycat behaviors. Another reason why this is so interesting is because the committee also brought up their tactics in terms of using surveillance. Surveillance, not only for the consumers, but towards the other businesses that are trying to flourish as well, basically killing off their competition and furthering their monopoly. I think this is really interesting because these are the things that we need to know about. A lot of us are entrepreneurs. A lot of us utilize their services, and we may, ourselves have to deal with these Big Four giants coming in and taking our products from us, as we've seen so many times, or making us or forcing us to have to utilize their services in order for us to thrive. What does that say about our economy? What does that say about capitalism? What does that say about this particular society that we live in that furthers the agenda of big businesses as a whole? And then tech companies, we'll get into that. So I want to take it over to Jasmine and Jerica, who also have something interesting in regards to tech companies.
Well, Trump is at it again and wants to ban TikTok. Well, it's a little catch-22 there because Microsoft decided, oh, well, we can buy TikTok. Originally, the issue was that President Trump, and I use that word lightly, the president decided that China had too much access to American data. So he was going to ban TikTok effective September 15th. Microsoft, a US based company, shout out to our guy Bill Gates, philanthropist extraordinaire. He decided he was going to take over TikTok, purchase the acquisition from them. But then what's interesting is if we're talking about the big four, Facebook, who owns Instagram, decided today to, or maybe they decided a while ago, but today, Wednesday, they decided to launch Instagram Reels, which is very similar to Instagram. Well, very similar to TikTok, uses the same platforms.
That's definitely interesting. Like you were saying, Trump is giving time for them to work out the deal. The president of TikTok, according to CNN, is not necessarily, he's not really saying that he is going to do the deal with Microsoft. They are working out the kinks. And so if you are a TikTok user, I would say do as many videos as you can because you have until September 15th potentially. Because after that, Trump may ban it. I also want to note that people make a lot of money from TikTok. Some people, this is their bread and butter. This is how they pay their bills. Product placements can range anywhere from $500 to $2,000 and even more. And so this can be huge with regards to the way that it affects people's finances once again. And so in the event that he bans it, we probably will see, unfortunately, unemployment raise up, especially for those millennials who utilize TikTok the most.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Awesome.
Yeah.
And Gen Z.
Yeah, definitely. So then that leads us into our discussion topic of the day, Ms. Jerica.
Yes, okay. So the whole reason why TikTok is supposed to be banned is kind of like we've already mentioned, is due to privacy. And Trump is saying he really wants to protect our privacy, thinking that, the way the apps are configured, it gives too much personal access to too much of our personal information. Here's the thing. How can I say this? I don't see how TikTok is any different than Instagram or Facebook outside of the fact that one is created by China and one is created by the US. But the US has a lot of our information. And let's be honest, when we see those agreements that says yes or no, do you accept these privacy laws? I don't know anyone that's like, you know what, we're gonna read this entire act. And so sometimes we're agreeing to things we really don't know what we're agreeing to and how much that particular app has access to us. Me personally, lately, I've been FaceTiming people and it's like someone's taking a picture of me. And when I read an article, I actually found out that there are some apps that, I don't know which ones, unfortunately, but there are some apps that have access to your camera and are actually doing studies on your facial recognition. So I'm not going to out any apps, but what I will say is that this is bringing light to a lot of things. You know what I mean? And who's to say that even Snapchat and Instagram aren't utilizing our facial recognition for something else? We don't know. And so when we think about data privacy, it's like, how can you really expect data privacy and then still be active on social media? It just seems hard.
That's very true. Lawrence, did you have any input on this topic?
Well, I agree with everything you just said. It's complicated because first you have to ask yourself, how much do you trust your own country? And I think that's the underlying issue, is that we as consumers already kind of distrust our government right now, and we kind of distrust what these companies are doing with our information. With that being said, as the saying goes, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, or something my grandma used to say. At the end of the day, I think I'd rather have Mark Zuckerberg have my information than some person that I don't know in China under an authoritarian governmental regime that I don't know? And then I have to think back to the previous elections when we talked about Russia using technology and data to influence our elections. What if China tries to do that? So I see it from both perspectives. I'm inherently distrustful of, our current government and our current president, but I just don't know how to feel about it when it comes to data privacy.
Yeah. What about you, Jasmine?
I agree with both of you all. I think, like your grandmother said, shout out to the grandma. I honestly rather Mark Zuckerberg have my information than someone in another country who is potentially America's enemy. I think that we need to be more cognizant of what we're sharing on social media. We need to be more cognizant on what we're trusting and what sources we are believing and what news that we subscribe to on these channels. And I also think because personally, I use it for business, a little bit for personal, but mostly my business is on social media. So if I decide to get off of Facebook, that's costing me customers that I wouldn't be able to tap into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a double-edged sword where these companies are giving us access to more people. They're giving us access to the world, essentially. But at that same time, we're giving them access to our name, our telephone number, our email address. And my question that I want to pose to you guys is, how important is that data to us? If they're getting my bank account information, that's a different issue. If they're getting my home address, that's a different issue. But if they're getting my name, my telephone number, and my email, how big of a deal is that really?
I think for me, and what I found was very interesting, even within my own research for the antitrust hearing, I think what it really boils down to is money. And I think the government itself is more concerned with money, because as I was going back and watching the antitrust hearing, when I first heard antitrust hearing, I'm thinking it's about the consumer. And it partially was, but it was more so about monopoly and small businesses versus big businesses, and them saying they don't want these big four to have a monopoly on their respective marketplaces. So for me, I don't trust our government any more than I trust these big companies, because I feel as though they're all in cahoots, and I feel as though
work together.
Yeah, and this last hearing, I think, may have just been political theater. The jury is still out to see what may happen, but I kind of feel as though from the day I came out, they stamped me with a social security number. So I'm being watched and I'm being monitored all the time. I try so hard to tell my mom to go ahead and get a Bank of America or Chase online user account. She is against it. But I try to tell her, Mom, don't you think if they wanted your money, they would just come and take it? What's the difference between you just
and you need to be tracking it, Mom, or you don't get that internet access and your money gone.
She still balances her checkbook the old school way. She will not get the app.
I love
wow.
that.
So crazy that you guys are talking about moms and this issue. My mom literally texted me and was like, Beauties, watch your account. Someone used my debit card at Victoria's Secret today.
Oh, wow.
I haven't bought them in months.
Wow.
So I think that's right on the money, right? Because Jasmine, as you were saying earlier, how much access do they have? If it's just like phone information, then that's one thing. But in my eyes, I don't think they just have my phone information. If you can tap into my camera, you can tap into everything.
Right.
To my facial recognition for my bank account. And I think that's not to mention that Zoom was being hacked by different people. So you have these huge corporations that are having business meetings because we're all online from COVID, and people were literally tapping in. My niece's, she had a school meeting, someone hacked in, and it's so disturbing. Luckily, none of the kids saw it. They all turned off their cameras, but it literally showed a man that was about to assault a little girl. That is concerning.
I don't like that.
Concerning. And after, those things, Zoom did put in some, I guess, protective features where you have to admit some people, and that just really depends on what kind of account you have. But situations like that is dangerous, because what if my sister wasn't sitting next to her? What if any of those parents wasn't sitting there? You have to think of what could have potentially happened.
Yeah.
And so it's disheartening. And I know Zoom, that affected their stocks too. We're going to talk about financial, finances later on. But I mean, oh yes, Ron Dew says keep tape on your laptop camera for privacy. Yeah, and I'm going to be the first to admit, sometimes I forget. I'm probably giving people a nice show.
Look, I'm gonna show y'all something real quick.
I'll be forgetting.
I got this little thing. All I do is swipe.
Well, the little slider.
You got the slider.
I should get that.
What is that?
So I have one of those sliders too. It's like a little piece of tape and plastic that you can put on over your camera, and you slide it back and forth to close it. So like every time your laptop is open, somebody won't have the opportunity to like tap into your camera. Mm-hmm. They're really like, you can find them online. They're really like cheap.
Yeah, they're like $1.99 on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get that. So what do we do for these smartphones?
I was about to ask.
Well, yeah. So if we're just being honest, I gave up on that type of data privacy years ago. At the point when I was like, listen, I had like an iPhone 6 or something at the time, maybe even before that. I was like, if I carry this with me everywhere I go, they don't need to put a chip inside of me. I already have a tracking device.
Exactly.
Yeah, since iPhone 6. That's when I just gave up on the whole idea of keeping stuff private. I also
shaming. I was just curious.
Oh no. I don't.
No, he doesn't have it now. He said he had it.
I had it. I got it. It's 11. I'm up. No, I also have a Alexa. So I know if I have an Alexa, because I want to turn my lights off and my TV off, and I'm too lazy to get up at night, they're listening to me. Everybody's had the situation where you clicked on one thing, like to buy some shoes, and then you've seen 15 ads for shoes on your Instagram. And it's like, I was on Google Chrome. How did you get to my Instagram so quick? So I know they're listening, they're doing all that type of stuff. And it's like you said, it comes down to the individual consumer. Am I willing to forego all these, like the advances in technology to make my life easier in order to get some privacy? So for me, I'm just like, forget it. And then if we really, really, really being honest with each other, if anyone's ever sent like a nude to somebody, at that point, like I was just like, hey man, if this gets hacked, I had to make that decision in my heart.
It looks good, baby.
I had to, once I sent it, I was like, I'm giving up. I know something could happen one day, but hey, I'm gonna do this. So that's where I stand. Going to the antitrust issue though, it's scary for me because I see it as like our government against the big four and these big companies. The government, United States of America, 300 million people, all of our influence. But Facebook has billions of people on it. Facebook has a line to the rest of the world. And what's scary is like when you think of it in the sense of, we all heard of the horrible stories in like Nazi Germany and propaganda and how they use propaganda to turn people against the Jews, right? If Facebook wanted to, not saying that they are, but if Facebook wanted to just put out fake news to 3 billion people in the world, just think of how that could like start a world war. That could start something negative. And that's where it's really scary. Yeah.
That's what happened in the last couple of years. And now they're trying to rein it back so that they can get some control over, so they're not the devil in America. And then you said something else that I agreed with and that I wanted to add on to about that. It's a choice, right? How much data we want to give. But it's also, we have to know that we can turn it off at any time. But the companies, I'm thinking about Google on the top of my head. Google, I have to go through settings, then I have to go through privacy, then I have to go through another thing, and then I have to go through another thing just to tell them that I don't want them to track my cookies. Yeah. And I don't even know what cookies are, but I know it tracks me.
Keep your cookies,
baby.
Definitely. But
I don't know. One thing that I will say is that it's almost inevitable. I feel like, I mean, like I said earlier, if you're going to be social, I know people that aren't on social media at all, and it sucks because it's like either you create a lifestyle for yourself independent of social media that you won't have to utilize that for your income, or you're subject to pretty much have all of your information potentially given to someone else. I did a study in school that was like, Target knows you're pregnant before you do, because the cameras track where you're going and the little things that you pick up. So if you're a consistent consumer, you're going to get certain things at certain times of the month. You're going to maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of technology is
Scary.
It's scary,
you know,
because
scary.
at the end of the day, it's all to sell us stuff, and it's all capitalism. And I'll be the first to say I'm not against capitalism, because I'm an entrepreneur. I got this money, honey. But I just think that it should be responsible. Let me buy it because I want to buy it, not because you're convincing me through your stalking. Give me my free will that we so claim to have, and my independence as an American, and my freedom and my rights.
Right. And I think this topic is very interesting. I think this topic is very interesting too, because I know as of late with COVID and everything that's happening, there's been this influx of support Black business, support Black business, support Black businesses, right? And then if we look at the big four, we know for a fact, even I'm a bust out Fashion Nova. You know what I mean? They're surveilling and they're using surveillance tactics themselves to spy on people and get their newest designs and create fast fashion to drop right away. I know so many designers who have been spied upon and hunted upon by Fashion Nova and other designers.
And their designs stolen.
And they steal their designs. And then what are we supposed to do? Then us as a people, we want to protect our coins, but we're also saying let's support Black businesses, Black businesses. I'll tell you, I'll be honest, if there was an Amazon support group, I would be in it. And Amazon knows everything about
family members.
I would be in it. If there was an Amazon support group, I would be, hi, my name is Sharika May. I spend my late, early morning, evenings scrolling through Amazon looking for stuff to purchase.
Looking for what? Tell us what you
I don't even think of other things. Like when I need something, the first thing that goes off of my mind is Amazon. Like I had to buy a new trash can the other day and I was like, Amazon. I'm like, oh, I could go to Target or somewhere else. I was like, Amazon. You know?
Right.
See, I think for me, I'm not a big online shopper. I don't like to wait. So I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna get it so I can have it right now.
Right. What were you saying, Jerica?
I said, now how many of us have stock in Amazon?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna say this just really quickly is that because I'm mad at myself, because when the pandemic started, the share price was $1,800. Now I think it's maybe 3,200. I didn't look today, but I think it's like 3,200. And so for myself, I personally try to support Black businesses because I'm consistently building into someone's company, and it makes me feel some type of way. Yeah. Like I will literally look up and see where can I find, and I've spent more money on Black-owned businesses probably during the pandemic than I ever had. Now I've always been a supporter. But I've literally made it my point because companies, I know the PP loan is helping out a lot of people, but a lot of people are still sinking because a lot of businesses don't even know what the PP loan is. There's a lack of education. So you think about, and censorship too. So not everybody is knowing about what is really going on. And so it's disheartening to see some of these companies that are going bankrupt and closing down. But to get back to the topic, one thing that I will say is that as a culture, as individuals, I think we have to be mindful of if it's not on Google, then it doesn't exist.
Yes.
We have to be able to utilize different search engines like, I guess it's called Ecosia or Ecosia or something like that. I don't know the pronunciation, but it's ECOSIA. So some of those things that you Google that you may not see on Google because it's censorship, and even Facebook has censorship. You can go on like Ecosia or something. It's ECOSIA. I use it, just don't know how to say it. It'll give you a unfiltered search. And that's how I learn a lot of my information. And we just have to be mindful that Facebook is going to show you what they want you to see.
Yes.
If you post the wrong thing, they will flag you.
Yes.
And they will put you in suspension.
They flagged us, just so you know. I tried to do like a boosted post for Yep. And it was too political. It was political. And I think I had only hashtag like vote local elections. And they were like, nope, you can't promote this because you have to be approved in order to post public commentary. So,
Wow.
you know, I think that's messed up. And I know some people, there was at one point, there was a very brief moment that, you know, probably towards the beginning of COVID or when Mark Zuckerberg had first had a hearing in terms of Facebook's practices, where they were like, let's ban Facebook. That lasted for all of 2.5 seconds. So I'm wondering, do you guys think that there's more that we should be doing, or should we really be banning these companies that are not only infringing upon our privacy, they're infringing upon small businesses and Black-owned businesses, startups that are attempting to grow? Do you think that we need to create some sort of movement such as the Black Lives Matter that's, you know, gets more worldwide attention in order to stop these things from happening?
Well, Issa Rae, I think late last year, started a company called Culture Capital. And I'm gonna read a little bit about it in the quote that is written here. Black people create culture and drive trends. Our data is valuable, and Culture Capital was created for us to own it. Learn how you can own and get paid for your data by going to www.culture, spelled CLTURE.io. Issa Rae posted a while ago. And I think that is the solution, is that it's no L, it's CLTURE. But I think that's important. If we're getting paid for our data, that's a different story than you just taking my data, using it so you can capitalize off it. I think that, one, if I'm subscribing to something and I get clicks, or if my influence gets clicks, that's kind of the basis of what she created it on, because influencers will go viral and then they wouldn't get compensated for the viralness of their post or their content. So she created it so that people can get paid and use me as an influence. That's fine if you want to use my Twitter accounts or my Facebook or my Instagram or my email to drive traffic, as long as I'm getting compensated and as long as it's not manipulated to put others in harm or put me in harm. I think I'm okay with it. And I say think, and I might renege my statement later, but as of today, that's how I feel.
Don't be reneging like spades, you know.
Trump could decide he want to put some kind of left foot, right foot into a bill tomorrow, and then I'm gonna change my mind.
That part. We have a comment from Kenneth Collins who says, I have Amazon stock and I look for Black-owned vendors. Does anybody know how to do that? Is there like a drop-down menu that allows you to specify
advice?
Could you give us some advice, Kenneth, on that? Because I think that's really good to do. But then that brings us back to last Wednesday's hearing, whereas these, like I said, these small local businesses that are utilizing Amazon's platform are being pushed out, or they're being forced to utilize Amazon services, or they're just not being heard out or attended to when it comes to them being able to grow in their business. And if they start to grow a little bit too much, then all of a sudden they're not allowed to have certain products on the platform, which I think is very interesting to see. So should we even be on Amazon?
I was going to say that same thing. I think that's the catch-22, is that Amazon is so accessible. If the president is deciding he wants to get rid of the USPS, if Amazon's our only choice for delivery, if UPS is our only choice for delivery, if FedEx is our only choice for delivery, I have to go outside of my network to buy that. Amazon is so convenient. I can go to Whole Foods and get a discount. It just makes sense. And are we going to punish Jeff Bezos for that because he came up with a good idea? Like, it's like a catch-22. Like, you don't want to punish the guy. Like, thank you.
He got enough money to last 3 lifetimes, to be honest.
Right.
He does, but I agree with what you're saying, Jasmine. Like, at the end of the day, if you do believe in capitalism, even a little bit, if somebody comes up with a good idea, and the consumers, like, let's just be honest, we're lazy. Like, we could spend an extra 15 minutes Google searching Black-owned business, or even if we can't find one, small business, in order to, for example, like buy my trash can. I just didn't want to. I have Amazon Prime. I know it's coming within 2 days. I know I can return it if I need to. I'm just gonna be lazy and just go get it. So as the consumer, like, we're always pushing ourselves towards convenience. Even before there was Amazon, there was Walmart. And we had these same exact conversations about Walmart killing small businesses, big box stores. Everybody just wants cheap stuff. It's coming from China. You're giving them too much power. Same exact situation. And technology just like moved it forward. And they're still talking about it. Yeah. So I hate to be like the conspiracy theorist here, but I will say there's other options. Like I frequent the dark web. Is everybody familiar with the dark web?
How do you get in there?
Okay.
How do you get invited?
I didn't get invited to the party.
So actually, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is download a separate search engine. So it's similar to like Google Chrome. I have one like DuckDuckGo. And from there, you also get a VPN, a virtual private network. So, you know, the powers that be can't track you. And then by using them together, just using an independent search engine and the VPN, you're kind of shielded from all of the stuff we were talking about. All of the people tracking your cookies, all of the people that are trying to sell you and market stuff. And it's entirely independent network. Now, there are some bad things that go on there. There have been some raids of undercover like drug cartel agencies selling drugs. I didn't even know this. This is before I even got on the dark web. That you could like buy cocaine or heroin and have it like mailed to you and people were shipping it around. But the other benefit of the dark web is that you have social networking markets that are not funded by the Zuckerbergs, that are not funded by the Big Four. And so it's really just hackers, young people, or just people that are interested in having that communication. So there's another option. It sucks that it has to be more difficult and it's not as promoted. But I think that we should get to the point as consumers that we're searching out, we're doing a little extra effort to not necessarily go the easy route and get what's best for us, whatever that is, whether it be Black businesses, whether that be information in social media that's not corrupted, but we have to take it upon ourselves to look for it.
And Lawrence, can you talk a little bit more about VPNs? Because I heard so much about them and I kind of want a VPN now because it protects my computer and my information from a business front and also from my personal front from getting tapped into, right?
Absolutely. So what a VPN does is it essentially you log into the virtual private network and it is somewhere else in the country or it could be in a different country. So let's say I log onto my VPN and I tell it to connect me to a router that's in Colombia. So it goes to Colombia. Then that information goes from Colombia to the actual network or to the website that you're logging on to. That way it's not a direct connection. Like people don't know that it's actually you. So essentially it's just a scrambler in between your computer and whoever you're logging on to. It hides your internet protocol address. So, and it's really cheap. So there's one, I don't want to give free promotion, but maybe we can once we talk about it. There's some out there that are like $15 a year. There are some VPNs that are like free. They're a little slower, but like a fast one you can get for $5 a month or something like that. So it's worth it.
Okay.
And so the incognito window on Chrome doesn't do quite the same thing.
Nah. That'll save you if, you know what I'm saying, your mama looking at your browser history or something. That's good for that.
That's only for your mama.
That's only for your mama if she's trying to look up something real quick and you don't want to, you know.
I heard that.
Okay.
And then Jeopardy had some good tools that she wanted to provide for, you know, in searching with Black businesses.
Okay. So I just wanted to share that WeBuyBlack.com. It's literally the largest, or so they say, marketplace for Black-owned businesses. I think what else is kind of the issue, because even if I go on there, it's not tied. So I'm buying laundry detergent that I'm not used to. And then once I use this detergent, I'm like, it's not washing my clothes. It's great. Well, it's not because they don't have those big budgets. So it's kind of like a catch-22. Like, what do you want to invest in? What do you don't? I think we should try to look at We Buy Black and support these businesses where we can. But also, if you like your clothes very clean, use your local detergent or your mainstay detergent.
Catch-22 with everything. But I think there's something to be said about trying to support our community and really building up our community. And there are several different Instagram links that have resources to Black-owned businesses. So example, in LA, you have Dime Black LA. Go, you click on their Instagram, you see a lot of different Black businesses. Or I'm a Yelp user. Yelp has an option where it says support Black businesses. So anything that you need, you can go on Yelp, put you can click on support Black businesses. It'll bring up whatever you need in that current location. So if I need detergent, if I want to go to a speakeasy or whatever the case may be, and there's a Black owned option, it will give me that option. Now,
I had no idea.
here's the thing, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but sometimes we don't want to make the extra effort because it's convenient. But eventually, I believe that our convenience may potentially completely affect our lifestyle. You can take this in a variety of different ways, but people want to go back to how things used to be, right? And going back to the way things used to be pre-COVID may come with a cost. So I think we have to ask ourselves, at what cost is convenience going to be?
Yeah.
If we give all of our money to Amazon, hypothetically speaking, small businesses shut down, Amazon raises their prices up, how would that affect the entire economy?
Right.
So it's like, I don't think that people really think about this. I'm not saying don't support Amazon. I support Amazon sometimes, but what I am saying is make sure that you support your local businesses and your Black businesses, because if Amazon is the only one left standing, best believe they're probably going to boost those prices up, and we're going to be dependent on one particular vendor.
Right. And then going back to this whole conversation is that's the monopoly of it all. And that's why the government's trying to break up Facebook, break up Amazon, because it's that one who controls the whole market. And when one controls the whole market, they get all the money. I think you hit on something really important where you say that Black businesses need, and you kind of alluded to it, I guess, Black businesses need that support so that they can grow. They're not going to be what you think they should be at the beginning because they don't have the resources, they don't have the capital, they don't have the investment, they don't have the testers, the people who actually believe in them to grow. So unless they have that, they're not going to be able to compete with the big box and the markets that are already mainstays into our society. So until we make a conscious effort to buy Black, to grow Black, to invest in Black, we're going to be running the same monkey race.
Yeah, we have a wonderful comment. I don't mean to cover you guys up. It's so long. Ashley Hamilton said, wondering whether we've discussed potential benefits of companies and agencies having access to our data for free. For instance, Fitbit having access to my health data. Can one, help change the narrative about the health for young Black women, and two, provide accurate information on important issues that disproportionately impact our communities, such as heart disease? That's a very good comment. I personally wear my Apple Watch every single day. I compete with my friends on my workout tracker, and I do have those thoughts. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, this thing knows a little bit too much about my health and fitness and what I do and where I go. And I've gone on runs and I can actually see the exact route that I ran.
I heard about that today.
So it's beneficial, but it is scary at the same time. And it's kind of like, are we giving them too much power to potentially have influence over us? Or is this really something that's beneficial that can change the narrative? I know for me, it does help motivate me to get up and work out every day. Being able to, this thing tells me, it literally says, okay, it's time for you to stand up. That's scary, but it's effective. So what do you guys think about that?
I'm going to chime in really quickly, and then I think I want to pass it on to Jerica because she may know a little bit more about this. But two things. I read today, actually, that when it's not quote unquote safe to post every time you go on a run, your exact route, because then people know your route and people can come attack you on that route. But then also when we talk about health, I automatically think of HIPAA laws. I automatically think my health information should not and cannot be shared no matter what. I don't want people to know when I last went to the doctor. I don't want people to know what my status is, whether it's negative or positive. I don't want people to know that my heart might be a little bit beating a little faster this month than it did last month, or my blood pressure is this. I think health is off the table. And Mark Zuckerberg, with the whole COVID thing, he wanted Facebook to be a place where we can track COVID cases. And for me, I was a little skeptical because, one, we just went through this whole data breach with Facebook where all your data got hacked. People could see whatever or whatever the case may be. But my thing is, why a year or less after that hack or after that data breach would I give you my health information?
Right. I mean, as you were speaking to, my watch just told me it's time for me to stand up.
Stand up, girl.
Stand up.
I think that the technology does have its benefits, but I think what Ashley Hamilton is saying is if they utilize their information for the good, is it beneficial? And so, yes, if they have to pay us for data, will it be as reliable or useful? If you are utilizing this information in a healthy and positive way, then maybe that would sway me. But the reality of it is you are getting paid, you meaning whoever these people are that take our data, which is why those random advertisement calls our phone. So you're selling my personal information and I'm not getting any of that cut. So that I don't want to get a lot of different phone calls and a lot of different emails. I'm like, I never signed up for this. So the data is being sold, but we're not profiting off of it. And one thing that Kenneth said, and I completely agree, is he said, if we build a Black infrastructure, then we circulate our dollars that we allow businesses to grow. So I love this comment because, again, we have to make sure that we are sustainable, because at the minute that they don't like something that we say or do as individuals, they will censor us, they will suspend us, and they will cut off our potential livelihood, especially if it is linked to social media.
Right.
Which is why on Instagram, you used to see a lot of the DJs playing on Friday and Saturday night, and it was competitive. You can decide which quarantine party you wanted to go to, but now Instagram has censored them.
So not because of the music licensing?
Exactly. So they're having to go to Twitch. And so, unfortunately, the same access that we used to have in order to make, income, and not just us as Black individuals, but I'm just saying, as people in general, they are cutting off our resources. And so we're having to create something different. And I think
they're getting paid, but not letting us reap the benefits.
Right.
Exactly.
You had something?
Well, yeah, I feel conflicted about the healthcare topic specifically. To Ashley's point, when we talk about other things and benefiting from a monetary standpoint, I agree that we should. But from a creative standpoint, there would be no Fitbit, there would be no heart monitor on the Apple Watch if there wasn't a way for them to benefit from it. Somebody has to make this technology. Somebody has to invest in it. So they're spending millions of dollars on research and development. They're testing it on people, spending all this money. And then because they know people will use it for their own health. And I feel like that's how we are getting paid, because you're not paying anything extra for it. It's not like you're paying a monthly subscription fee when that costs money to maintain, and it costs upfront money to create that technology. And then as people, I'm a firm believer that a human life is priceless. And so if you're truly going to say that and believe that a human life is priceless, then on the other end, you can't be like, oh, well, I don't want to have this technology because it could have some negative monetary cost. And I'm from a Black family. Like, we don't share information. You know what I'm saying? You keep your mouth shut. What happens here stays here. But if
you
like
Black?
you brought up, Jasmine, yeah, Black. If somebody, let's just say somebody knows you're positive, if I'm positive or whatever, yes, that hurts me from a pride standpoint. But what if this technology of somebody that's positive could track their heart and could help them get medical attention? Or what if, like you said, with the pregnancy thing, what if your watch could tell you that you're pregnant before you even know you're pregnant? So now you don't go out and pop that Molly, or now you don't go out and get drunk.
Plan B.
You get the
I can get my plan B.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm conflicted when it comes to health.
I've never taken plan B.
Oh, okay. I've never taken plan B either. I think when it comes to healthcare,
conversation is going right.
right. I'm conflicted. Everything else I agree with, but with healthcare, I'm just like, if you want to take all my information, but you're going to save a life, go ahead, go for it.
I mean, the whole business of healthcare is a business as it is anyway. So
Right.
that's a whole other conversation, especially in the United States. So I personally do see both sides. Like I said, I subscribe to my Apple Watch vehemently. I don't like to leave the house without it. I want to count my little steps. There's even this app. I don't know if you guys, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, that like rewards you with shopping points. Huh?
My Fitness Pal?
Yes, that rewards you with points to go shopping and how many steps that you take. So I think that that's pretty awesome. So I guess it's a sliding scale of what the individual feels comfortable with. I think one thing that we don't do, and I know I don't, is I don't read the fine print. You know, it's not until later on that when someone brings it to our attention, or if it's a big news story, that we go back and look at some of these sneaky little, you know, amendments that they have in their agreements, or they have these little sub tabs within tabs of things that you can turn off. For example, your location on your iPhone. You know, if you have a sneaky spouse, that person can go all up in your phone and figure out the frequent places that you visit. I don't know if that.
And then to your point, never mind, I forgot what I was going to say.
I was going to add one thing, and I have to give a disclaimer. Technically, I'm not giving legal advice, even though I'm an attorney. I have to disclaim that. Those type of contracts are usually not enforceable. So if anybody out there, if you ever have clicked on something and it's a long contract, those are called contracts of adhesion. Okay. And from a very technical contract law standpoint, if somebody just gives you a long contract and you just click yes and go past it, and let's say you go back, the same thing with hospitals, the same thing with Apple or whatever, you can fight those. And there's been so many scenarios where innocent citizens don't think they can fight it because it's like, oh, I signed my rights away, so I can't do anything about it. Bleep that. Like, I just want to let everybody out there know, if you ever run in that situation, you still have all your rights. Those contracts don't hold up.
And that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, even if we do read the whole thing, we don't even know what it says or know what it means.
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the things in the hearing that I believe it was either Bezos or Zuckerberg brought up. Like, well, we're letting people know before they subscribe to our services, there's this long thing that they can read through that will tell them what all that we're doing. And, you know, so they know. But they know good and darn well that 9 out of 20 people are not doing that. You know, nobody
really, like, how many of us is really going through that contract?
Right. So I mean, there are some. I've seen certain apps that I've downloaded in the past that will have you go through the long process where you got to hit next, agree, next. You know, we just generally do not like that as a society. We're a fast culture. So I love that you are informing us about that, Bobby. So we know, you know, who we need to hire when we need to fight some stuff. But I definitely think this would be a good time if you guys have anything else you want to say before we start wrapping up.
Yeah, I would just say kind of the same thing that I've been saying throughout the duration of this show is, in the event that we want to make sure that we're sustainable. And I think C. Fish said this. He said, we need to create our own platform. So I agree. We have to be able to create our own platform, our own things. And if companies are already established, like We Buy Black or Dine Black LA, support them. Support them so that we can continue to get to keep funding in our community. So that's all I have.
And I'll add, just have a little level of discernment when you are searching the internet, when you are clicking things. A lot of spam and robots are out there disguised. Even if your browser says www.google, but it's 2 G's, you got to pay attention to those things because they're trying to catch you at every angle. So I just want everyone to be careful, have discernment when you're reading an article and believing it. Double check your resources, double check facts before you spread information, before you share information, so that you're not a part of the fake news, and that your data is protected.
Yeah,
computers are protected.
Definitely. I do want to one more Ashley comment, because I think this is very interesting. I think Black people are generally sorry, you guys. Are generally afraid of our data and information being used. This may be a historical trauma. And then she goes into more historical references in terms of her own family. But I think if we look at like the Freedmen's Bank or what happened in Rosewood. I think historically,
Henrietta Lacks.
We don't trust. Yeah, we don't trust this government. We don't trust that they are doing right by us. And as you said, I forget which one of you said it earlier, that we create culture. Mm-hmm. We have the biggest buying power and the biggest influence that there is. And so I think it's important for us to recognize those traumas and know that that comes from a historical context that is still very relevant. So not to say that we all need to be big old conspiracy theorists, but we need to also, as we're shopping on Amazon, as we all been saying, we need to also support local initiatives and local Black-owned businesses, and know that they're fighting a very, very difficult fight to be above water and to compete with these businesses that are surveilling us, and utilizing our private information in order to trick us into buying their stuff. So thank you, Ashley, for that.
And can I chime in before you 1 second?
Go for it.
And I love what she said about the historical trauma, and then her dad's father died from participating in medical study. And it's so relevant to today, right? Where we need to actually get these tests or these trials for COVID so that they know it affects us, because we are disproportionately affected with COVID. So if we're not participating in those tests, we're not going to understand if it's going to affect our bodies the same way as our counterparts, right? So it's kind of that catch-22. But then I'm wondering if the Dr. Sebis of the world and the people who are creating these holistic diets, if that will ever catch on, if we are the trendsetters, like, do we need these big pharma vaccines, or can we actually heal ourselves with proper resources and with community engagement and community trust and community kind of empowerment, I think I want to say.
Definitely.
It's a great topic, girl, because I love Dr. Debbie.
That's the I know that's
maybe that's next week.
So we gotta definitely tap into that conversation.
Definitely
conversation.
Yeah, Lawrence, did you have anything about this topic before we close out?
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Saya Collective, SIA_collective, a top Black shoe designer. I follow him on Instagram. Just bought some shoes from him. Great stuff. I thought of this actually from this conversation, and thank you for everybody for helping me come to this conclusion. We all talked about investing in our own businesses, investing in our own people. And I just thought that, like, I want to tell everybody, investing means more than just buying or purchasing from someone that's selling something. Investing is also giving your time, giving your energy, giving your effort. I'm a person that, especially with like Black-owned businesses, anything I can offer. If I go on a website and I go through like the privacy section, only because like that's what I do for a living, I'll offer free advice and be like, hey, do this, do this, do this, if you want it, if you're not. So I think like anything that you're good at, anything that you do, anything of value that you have, think of investing and giving that to your people as well.
Love it.
Amen.
And that's kind of the reason that this brought us together from the Urban League. You can definitely invest and volunteer in the Urban League as well. So great point, Lauren.
Yes, definitely. And then too, I believe Beyonce dropped her Black Parade a couple weeks ago with a list of really amazing Black-owned businesses. I know a few people that were highlighted on there, so shout out to her. She's been definitely.
And a portion of her proceeds went to Urban League. Did you see that?
Now.
Okay.
Yeah. National Urban League.
National.
Did y'all watch the movie?
We watched it.
Yeah.
You watched it, Jerica?
No, I've been so busy. I haven't had a chance.
Lawrence, I want to hear your perspective as a man.
I watched like 7 minutes of it. Hey guys, it started off kind of slow. I'm gonna go back. We'll
have a conversation about that. I think that's another topic that we should have, especially as African.
Because people, I want to have a conversation about the African diaspora.
Yes,
okay.
We will definitely have that conversation. So let us know, you guys, if there's any topics that you think that we should be covering. In terms of shout out to Ron Dukes, his wife. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I follow her. I stalk her page. Congratulations to her for sure. For her work on that amazing movie. But we'll definitely have a conversation about that. But make sure you guys are following us, and make sure that you guys are tuning in to all of our topics. I guess my last word of the evening will just be yes. Please follow us And then in terms of Black-owned businesses, I got to plug mine. I got some T-shirts and stuff on my website. So, do I have any? Oh, this is a shirt my niece created. It is called the Fuego Tee.
Okay.
Hand drawn by my niece, and it's LeMayday produced. So, I'm all about, generational wealth. And one of the things that I decided to do with my niece, because she's an artist and I have so many, artistic family members, was to try to help them create a platform to where they can monetize their talents. And I think if we do more of that, especially with our youth, I think our youth, the leaders of today are going to be amazing. And that was very important and special for me to be able to do that, to help her and other family members to be able to start their own businesses. So make sure you're checking out our T-shirts on LeMayday. I had to do that little plug. But yes.
Girl, yes.
Love it.
Dope.
And I'm so inspired by the youth. I can go on and on about Generation Z. So I'm excited for your niece and all her endeavors.
Thank you.
Whenever somebody says youth, I feel old.
Right?
What did you say?
I said whenever somebody says youth, then I immediately feel old.
I know, right?
I'm finally at that age where I'm not the youngest anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like killing myself.
I was going to say, for those of you guys who are listening, feel free to engage on our social media page if there's things that you want us to know or topics that you want us to bring up or cover. Post them on our Instagram or on our Facebook page. We want to hear from you guys as well. And then I forgot to bring this up. The Ecosia, ECOSIA.com is just a search platform where you don't have to, it's not censored. It's because Google is censored, unfortunately.
Interesting.
Engage with us, you guys.
Yes.
I know we're going to go quickly over time, but can you explain that a little bit, how they're not censored versus Google is censored?
So I'm not a web developer. But what I will tell you is that when you put these certain topics in Google that they don't want you to know, and let's say conspiracy topics or whatever, they're not going to pop up on Google because it's going to be censored.
Right.
That's why certain things are happening that we as the common public don't know about, because our news it's censored. It's what they want us to know. But if you download the app and you go on there, any information that you want, you can pull it up.
Okay.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Final word, Mr. Bobby Boy Bob.
I think, just support Black businesses, support in any way you can, support each other, believe in intersectionality, and Black women matter.
Hey.
There you go.
You know how to All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Tune in next week. We're going to have another amazing topic. And as everyone mentioned, make sure that you're following us and liking and stay tuned. We have a lot more amazing content, news, and information. Watch your local news, you guys, and look at some newspapers and let us know something. There's some things. Tell us. But everybody have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Ciao.